2012 budget. We are joined by two members of the House Budget Committee, Congressman Paul Tonko, a New York Democrat, and also Congressman Frank Guinta. He's a New Hampshire Republican. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Congressman Tonko, I'll start with you. We have seen the plans from Paul Ryan, who chairs the House Budget Committee. What's your take?
Well, my take is that what we have here, they'll talk, the Republicans will talk, my friends and colleagues on that side, will talk about the deep amount of cutting that they're doing, spending cuts. Unfortunately, those spending cuts come from a small wedge of the pie that, while only a drop in the ocean in terms of an impact, are devastating to the programs that are really responding to the needs of many of our people out there, seniors, veterans, our children, certainly working families and small business as we attempt to continue to grow jobs. The unfortunate thing is that while it's trillions of cuts proposed for that community, there are trillions of dollars then spent on the upper echelon, on millionaires, on billionaires, contractors that are protected with inefficient or wasteful programs that feed the Pentagon, sometimes even proven fraudulent, and they continue to make certain that corporations receive reductions of, and that spending almost, is in the trillions, as are the cuts to our middle class. And so it's a very interesting switch of where the dollars had been and where they were focused and now where they will be landing with the Republican plan.
Congressman Guinta, how do you respond? Because that's the same critique I've heard for the last several days, that you're helping out multimillionaires and corporations at the cost of seniors in the middle class and many others.
Well, that seems to be the talking points from the Democratic Congressional Committee. Look, we're here because people in America asked us in November to get serious about reducing our deficit and debt, to get the taxes under control, and to save and preserve the social entitlements that we have in this nation. So here's what the budget does. We cut $6.2 trillion over the next 10 years compared to what the President proposed 2 months ago. We reduced the deficit in year one by more than $600 billion. No more trillion-dollar deficits with the Republican proposed budget. And finally, we preserve and protect Medicaid and Medicare for the future. And anyone who's 55 and older is not impacted one iota by the decisions we've made. And then for anyone of that age group, what we do is essentially provide block grants to the states, for them to give flexibility and priority to the seniors that deserve it the most. And then for people like me, when I am old enough to receive Medicare benefits, I get to actually choose my plan. I get premium support, just like a member of Congress does. And I think that's important for preserving those entitlements in the future. But there are certainly two futures here that are at stake, and hopefully we'll have a rigorous but honest and real debate about how we can reduce the debt and deficit in our nation.
And Congressman Tonko, just about everyone agrees that entitlements have to be reformed. Do you think there is any common ground in the Ryan plan or any other way you can get to some common ground on that issue?
Of course, we're always looking for efficiencies. We're looking to rid the system of waste. But suffice it to say, if you're taking trillions from the middle class, and those are your spending cuts, that's all we've heard about. We've cut spending, we've cut spending. Yeah, it's come out of the hide of the middle class and working families, and then lo and behold, now we find all those dollars of trillions are going to help those most powerful in society, those most comfortable. Now look, to end Medicare, which is the message in their plan, is a devastating situation. To send people out into the private market with a voucher that doesn't cover their expenses nearly well enough, they're going to see their out-of-pocket expenses for health care double, if not triple. And in terms of the messaging from the general public, from the electorate, all I heard was it's about jobs and the economy. Start growing our economy, stop shrinking the middle class. That was the message all of us heard from coast to coast. Why would you interrupt a growth of private sector jobs that in just over the last year we have grown more than 2 million private sector jobs? Why would you want to interrupt that? Instead, you take dollars from the middle class in the trillions, you add them to the wealth of the nation in trillions, and then grow our debt by $8 trillion. That sounds so much like President Bush's formula just before the recession that drove us deep into economic ruin.
Congressman Guinta, we're just about out of time, but I quickly want to give you the last word here.
Sure. Well, again, I have a disagreement with my friend from the other side. This is about reducing the debt and deficit. No one in our country believes that a $1.6 trillion deficit proposed by President Obama for this year and the out years is good public policy. We simply reduce that debt and deficit, give some predictability to the job creators in our country that we're not going to heavily tax them. We're going to reduce their regulatory burdens, and we're going to preserve and protect Medicaid and Medicare for years to come. I think that's a good plan. I look forward to that rigorous debate on the floor next week.
All right, Congressman Paul Tonko and Congressman Frank Guinta, we thank you both for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, some politicos are blaming the